Hey guys, in today's Salesforce Apex review on Tech Drive, we'll discuss queuable classes. If you found your way to this video, I'm assuming you're familiar with Salesforce as a platform and understand at least the basics of Apex, the object-oriented programming language on the platform. But if not, there are some supplemental videos which I'll link in the below to review. So what are queuable classes? A queuable class is used for asynchronous or long-running processes by placing them into a queue for execution. The benefit of asynchronous code is that it doesn't block or delay other processes in the system and allows higher governance limits compared to synchronous functionality. As Salesforce is a multi-tenant environment, they have imposed governance limits to ensure optimal server performance. As mentioned though, asynchronous functionality has higher governance limits than synchronous. That said, when designing, it is essential to understand and remember these limits so transactions do not break and block business workflow once your code has made its way to production. So what are those limits? There are 100 queuable jobs that can be added to a queue at a time. There are 5,000 queuable jobs per day per organization. A single job can chain to 5 other jobs. After 15 minutes of execution time, the job will be terminated and throw an error. In one transaction, 200 queries may be executed. The job may have a 12 megabyte heap size, and finally, 60,000 milliseconds of total CPU execution time may be done per transaction. So we spoke a little bit about limits. Now let's talk about some problems that you can run into when designing and implementing queuable classes. If you are in a large global environment with many teams working in parallel, hitting limits related to timeout or chaining can easily occur if you don't communicate to each other well. Therefore, often in large organizations, there's one centralized group that pulls architects together to review design. Regardless, even if you're working in smaller orgs, if you don't consider governance limits in design, then production issues can still happen to you. Further, asynchronous Apex can be difficult to monitor because when errors occur in production, they can be difficult to trace back and troubleshoot. Further, chaining can create debug and troubleshooting challenges as, again, tracing the issue back between multiple transactions can be quite difficult. Therefore, with queuable functionality, if an error occurs in production, it's a good practice to send out an email to an admin or tech team noting the data and error message. Or you can create an error log record against the transacted record. Or additionally, you could display the error message in a long text area field on the transacted record layout. Finally, there are testing limitations, as if there is a delay in processing, getting accurate test results may be a challenge. Additionally, with unit testing or user acceptance testing, sometimes getting a large enough data volume may not always be feasible. However, it is important to execute load balance testing so you can know that your code will scale over time. You can load balance test by creating a few hundred records or more with a script in Execute Anonymous or a data loader. The more you test, the better off you will be. Let's take a simple queuable class example. In this example, we've defined a queuable class called myQueubleClass that implements the queuable interface. The execute method is the entry point for the asynchronous job, and it receives a queuable context parameter that provides information about the job's execution context. In the execute method, we're performing some asynchronous work by querying for contacts whose names start with A and updating their title field to queuable update. Finally, we're updating the contact records in bulk using the update DML operation. To enqueue this job, you would simply call system.enqueueJob from a trigger, controller, or other Apex class. In subsequent videos, we'll review a more complicated example with a more specific use case. Thanks, that's all we have for today, but if you've liked what you've seen, please like and subscribe. It'll really help me out, and look for more videos in the future.